The rain was falling hard that October night when 12-year-old Marcus Wellington ran barefoot through the dark streets of Boston, his white shirt soaked in his father's blood. He was screaming for help, but every door stayed closed. Every window remained dark until he saw her, the homeless girl everyone avoided, the one they called Crazy Emma. And what happened next would change everything anyone thought they knew about her. Emma Carter had been living on the corner of Maple and Fifth Street for 3 years. She was 17 now, though most people thought she looked older. The streets do that to you. They age you in ways that have nothing to do with time. She kept her few belongings in a torn backpack, a blanket, a water bottle, some crackers she'd gotten from the church shelter. But there was one thing she guarded more carefully than anything else, a small leather pouch she kept tied around her neck, hidden beneath her coat. Nobody knew what was inside. Nobody had ever asked. The people of Boston's wealthy harbor district walked past Emma every single day. They'd clutch their purses tighter, pull their children closer. Some would drop $1 in her cup without looking at her face. Most wouldn't even do that. "Mom, why doesn't that girl go home?" a little boy once asked his mother. "Because she doesn't have one, sweetie. Now don't stare. It's rude." Emma had learned to be invisible. It was safer that way. But on this particular night, being invisible wasn't an option. Marcus Wellington wasn't supposed to be running through the rain alone. He wasn't supposed to have witnessed what he'd just seen. And he definitely wasn't supposed to be covered in blood. His father, Richard Wellington, was one of the most powerful CEOs in Boston. Wellington Industries, 50,000 employees, billions in assets. The kind of man who had drivers and bodyguards and a mansion with more rooms than Marcus could count. But money couldn't save him tonight. Marcus had been in the car with his father when it happened. They'd been driving home from a business dinner. His father had been on the phone, arguing with someone. Marcus couldn't hear everything, but he caught phrases like, "The deal is off," and "I won't be threatened." Then the black SUV had forced them off the road. 3 men with masks. They dragged Richard from the car. Marcus had hidden in the back seat, paralyzed with terror, watching through the gap between the seats. "You should have kept your mouth shut, Wellington," one of them had said. "You should have just signed the papers." They'd beaten his father. Badly. Then they'd driven away, leaving Richard crumpled on the wet pavement. Marcus had crawled out, tried to wake his father. But Richard's eyes were barely open, his breathing shallow. His phone was smashed. The street was empty. "Dad, please. Dad, wake up. Please." Richard's hand had gripped Marcus's shirt weakly. "Run, get help. Marcus, run." So Marcus ran. He ran harder than he'd ever run in his life. Past the abandoned buildings. Past the clothes shops. Banging on doors that wouldn't open. Screaming for someone, anyone, to help him. And then he saw her. Emma was huddled under the awning of an old pharmacy, trying to stay dry. She looked up when she heard the screaming. At first, she thought it was just another drunk fighting with someone. But then she saw the boy, small, terrified, covered in blood. "Help! Please! They beat my father. He's dying. Someone please help." Marcus stumbled and fell right in front of her. He looked up, rain and tears streaming down his face. For a moment, their eyes met. Emma saw something in that boy's face she recognized. She'd seen it in the mirror 3 years ago, the night her own world fell apart. Pure, desperate fear. "Where is he?" Emma's voice was steady. Calm. Not what Marcus expected. Back there, 2 blocks. He's not moving. Please. I don't know what to do." Emma didn't hesitate. She grabbed her backpack and started running. Marcus struggled to his feet and followed her. She was fast. Faster than he thought possible. Her bare feet slapped against the wet pavement, but she didn't slow down. They found Richard Wellington lying in a pool of rainwater mixed with blood. His face was swollen. His breathing was ragged and shallow. Emma dropped to her knees beside him. "Mister, can you hear me? Mister?" No response. His pulse was weak. His lips were turning blue. Marcus was sobbing now. Is he dead? Please don't let him be dead." "He's alive. But not for long if we don't do something." Emma looked around. No cars. No people. No help coming. She pulled out an old flip phone from her pocket. The kind you can get for $10 at the gas station. She dialed 911. This is Emma Carter. I'm at the corner of Warehouse Street and Dover. There's a man here, badly beaten. Possible internal bleeding, trouble breathing. He needs an ambulance now. The operator's voice crackled through. Ma'am, are you trained in first aid? Emma hesitated for just a second. Then she said something that made Marcus's head snap up. Yes, I'm a certified EMT. Well, I'm going to start treatment. Marcus watched in shock as Emma unzipped her backpack and pulled out items he never expected to see a homeless person carry. Sterile gloves, gauze, a small first aid kit that looked professional, not like something from a dollar store. But it was what she did next that truly stunned him. Emma's hands moved with practiced precision. She checked Richard's airway, tilted his head back slightly. She felt along his ribs, checking for breaks. She pressed her fingers against his neck, checking his pulse, counting silently. Your father has broken ribs, she said quietly, still working. Probably internal bleeding. I need to keep him stable until the ambulance gets here. What's your name? And Marcus. Marcus, I need you to hold this flashlight for me. Can you do that? She pulled a small flashlight from her bag and handed it to him. His hands were shaking, but he held it steady, pointing it where she directed. Emma worked quickly. She placed pressure on the worst of the bleeding wounds. She positioned Richard carefully to help him breathe. She spoke to him constantly, even though he couldn't respond. Stay with us, sir. Help is coming. You're going to be okay. Your son is right here. He's very brave. He ran all the way to get help. Stay with us. Marcus couldn't stop staring at her. This girl, this homeless girl, everyone walked past like she was nothing, was saving his father's life with the skill of a trained professional. How do you know how to do this? He whispered. Emma didn't look up from her work. Long story, one I don't usually tell. The ambulance sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Emma kept working, kept talking to Richard, kept him alive. When the paramedics arrived, they jumped out with their equipment, ready to take over. But when they saw what Emma had done, they paused. Who started treatment? One of them asked. I did, Emma said, standing up slowly. He's got broken ribs. Definitely 3, maybe 4 on the right side. Possible punctured lung. Internal bleeding likely. Pulse is weak but steady. Breathing shallow but consistent. I've kept his airway clear and applied pressure to the external wounds. The paramedic stared at her. You're trained. Was. A long time ago. They loaded Richard onto a stretcher. Marcus climbed into the ambulance with his father, but before the doors closed, he looked back at Emma, still standing there in the rain, blood on her gloves, water dripping from her hair. Thank you, he said. Thank you so much. Emma just nodded. Then the ambulance doors closed, and they were gone. She stood there for a long time, watching the red lights disappear into the Boston night. Then she slowly walked back to her corner, back to being invisible. But Marcus Wellington would never forget her face. 3 days later, Richard Wellington woke up in a hospital bed. He'd had emergency surgery, broken ribs, ruptured spleen, collapsed lung. The doctors said it was a miracle he'd survived. They said if he'd been left alone for even 10 more minutes, he would have died. Marcus told his father everything. About running through the streets, about the homeless girl, about how she'd save his life with skills that seemed impossible for someone living on the streets. Richard listened to every word, and when Marcus finished, his father did something unexpected. He cried, not from pain, but from gratitude and from shame. I walked past that girl, Richard said quietly, every single day on my way to the office. Every single day. And I never once looked at her. Dad, I want to find her. I want to thank her properly. And I want to know her story. How does a homeless girl know how to do what she did? Richard nodded. We'll find her, son, and we'll make this right. It took them 2 weeks, but they found Emma still on her corner. Richard walked up to her himself, still moving carefully because of his injuries. He was wearing casual clothes, not his usual suit. He wanted to talk to her as a man, not as a CEO. "Emma Carter?" he said gently. She looked up, startled. She recognized him immediately. "You're alive." "Because of you." Richard sat down on the curb beside her, ignoring the stares from people walking past. "I want to hear your story, if you're willing to share it." Emma was quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, she began to talk. 3 years ago, Emma Carter had been a completely different person. She'd been a straight-A student at Boston Medical Academy, top of her class. She was on track to become a doctor. She'd already completed her EMT certification at 16. Her future was bright, limitless. Then her mother got sick. Cancer. Stage 4. No insurance. The medical bills destroyed them. Emma dropped out of school to take care of her mother and worked 3 jobs to try to pay the bills. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. Her mother died 6 months later. Emma was 14 years old. With no family, no money, and nowhere to go, Emma ended up on the streets. She aged out of the system before anyone could place her in foster care properly. She fell through the cracks. The same system that should have protected her forgot she existed. "I kept my EMT supplies," Emma said quietly, touching the pouch around her neck. "It was the only thing I had left from my old life. The only thing that made me feel like I was still someone. I'd help people sometimes. Homeless people who got hurt, people who overdosed, people no one else would touch. But I never told anyone who I used to be. It hurt too much to remember." Richard was crying now. Marcus, standing beside his father, had tears streaming down his face. "You saved my life," Richard said. "You saved my life, and you've been living on the streets. That's not right. That's not acceptable. Emma, I want to help you. Please, let me help you." Emma shook her head. "I don't need charity." "It's not charity," Richard said firmly. "It's a debt. You gave me my life back. You gave my son his father back. Let me give you your future back." Emma looked at him for a long moment, then at Marcus, then down at her hands. "What did you have in mind?" she asked quietly. Richard Wellington didn't do things halfway. Within a month, Emma had an apartment. Not a fancy one. She didn't want that. But it was clean, safe, and warm. It was home. He hired the best lawyers to help her get her legal documents in order, to finish the paperwork that had left her in limbo for 3 years. He enrolled her in an online high school program so she could finish her diploma. And then he did something that shocked even his own board of directors. He created a full scholarship in Emma's name at Boston Medical Academy. She would finish her education. She would become the doctor she was meant to be. And after she graduated, Wellington Industries would fund a free clinic in the Harbor District where Emma would work, treating the people society had forgotten, the people just like she had been. But the story doesn't end there. 2 years later, Emma Carter graduated top of her class from the medical academy. She was accepted into Harvard Medical School with a full scholarship. Marcus Wellington, now 14, attended her graduation ceremony, cheering louder than anyone else in the auditorium. For years after that, Dr. Emma Carter opened the Wellington Free Clinic. It operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No one was ever turned away. Homeless, uninsured, undocumented. It didn't matter. Everyone deserved care. Everyone deserved dignity. Richard Wellington stood beside her at the opening ceremony. He recovered fully from his injuries. The men who'd attacked him were in prison. But that night had changed him in ways that went beyond physical healing. "You know," Richard said to Emma as they watched people line up for the clinic's first day, "I used to think success was measured in dollars, in deals closed and stocks rising. But I was wrong." Emma smiled. "What changed your mind?" "A girl who had nothing gave me everything. You taught me that real wealth isn't what you have. It's what you give. It's who you help when no one's watching. It's the life you touch when everyone else walks by." Marcus, now 18 and heading to college, put his arms around both of them. "You saved Dad's life that night," he said to Emma. "But you saved more than that. You saved our family. You showed us what really matters." Emma looked at the people coming through the clinic doors. The tired, the forgotten, the invisible. She saw herself in every single face. "Your father saved my life too," she said quietly. "He reminded me that we're never really invisible. Not if someone chooses to see us. Not if someone chooses to care." That night, as the rain fell on Boston once again, the Wellington Free Clinic glowed with light. Inside, Dr. Emma Carter treated her first patient, a homeless teenager with an infection, scared and alone. She held the girl's hand gently. "You're going to be okay," Emma said. "I promise. I see you, and I'm not going anywhere." Because sometimes the people society overlooks are the ones with the power to save us all. Sometimes the person everyone walks past is the hero we need most. And sometimes in our darkest moment, when we're running through the rain covered in blood and fear, the person who saves us is the one we never expected, the one we should have seen all along. 3 years after that clinic opened, Emma received a letter. It was from a young woman named Sarah who'd been treated at the clinic when she was homeless and addicted. Sarah had gotten clean. She'd gone back to school. She was now working as a nurse. She wanted to give back, the way Emma had given to her. Emma framed that letter and hung it in her office, because that's how it works. One act of kindness ripples outward. One moment of choosing to see someone instead of looking away changes everything. Richard Wellington learned that lesson on a rainy October night when a homeless girl with a secret skill saved his life. Marcus learned it by watching his father walk past Emma every day without seeing her, until it was almost too late. And Emma learned it when she realized that losing everything doesn't mean you lose your purpose. Sometimes it clarifies it. Today, the Wellington Free Clinic treats over 50,000 patients a year. Dr. Emma Carter has trained hundreds of young doctors who go on to serve underserved communities around the world. Marcus Wellington joined his father's company, but he completely transformed it, making social responsibility and community investment their core mission. And on the corner of Maple and 5th Street, where Emma used to sleep in the rain, there's now a bronze statue. It shows a young woman kneeling beside someone in need, her hands extended in help. The plaque reads, "She saw us when we were invisible. She gave us her hand when we had fallen. She saved lives when no one else would. Dr. Emma Carter. Hero, healer, hope." But Emma doesn't think of herself as a hero. She thinks of herself as someone who was given a second chance by a 12-year-old boy desperate enough to ask a homeless girl for help. Someone who learned that our worst moments can become our greatest purpose. Someone who discovered that the skills we carry, the knowledge we hold, the compassion we show, these things can never be taken from us, no matter what we lose. On rainy nights, Emma sometimes drives past that corner. She thinks about the girl she used to be, huddled under that awning, invisible to the world. And she thinks about the boy who ran to her through the darkness, who saw her when no one else would. She thinks about how one moment of connection changed 2 lives forever, how choosing to help, even when you have nothing, can create everything, how the person society dismisses might be the person who saves your life. And she smiles, because she knows the truth now. We're all just one bad night away from needing someone to see us. And we're all just one good choice away from being the person who does the seeing. The rain may fall, the darkness may come, but there will always be people like Emma Carter, people who refuse to walk past, people who choose to kneel down in the rain beside a stranger and say, "I'm here, you're not alone, we're going to get through this together." And that, in the end, is what saves us all.